Hi, and welcome back to Biblical Theology, Exegesis, and Hermeneutics, where meaning is always context-driven. I'm your host, John Strazicich, and today we'll be continuing on in our studies here in Genesis chapter 1. Today we'll be looking at the third day, and we're looking here at verses 9 to 13 in chapter 1. So if you have your Bibles, go ahead and open them up. Okay, and now we come to this particular slide. What we have here, we're going to look at some structural analysis, and we're going to look at here at the Septuagint as well as the MT, and we'll give a translation, obviously, into English. But first here, we'll look here at the MT, and we're just looking here at this slide at verses 9 and 10, okay, because day 3 here basically has two things going on. Number one, it has the waters that are below are being gathered to one place so that the dry land can appear. So we have the creation of oceans, and we have the so that the dry land can appear as in the form of earth. And then on the second part of this day is then God calls forth for the creation of plant life, and that will take up verses 11 to 13. Okay, so we're just looking here at the first part in verses 9 here and 10. Okay, so I'll begin here with 9. Vayomer Elohim yikavu hamayim mitachat Hashemayim el makom echad v'teira'e hayabasha vayehichen vayikra Elohim layabasha eretz ulemikve hamayim kara yamim vayar Elohim kitov. So this basically says, and God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered to one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. Verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, eretz, and the collection of waters he called seas, yamim. And God saw that it was good. So basically, we have here our speech report formula, and God said, so we have another speech, and then through the Jesuv, we have the calling forth for something to be done. So this is this fiat here, and he called for the waters to be collected, which were under the heavens, to one place. And there's a purpose for that, and so that and let the dry land appear. So this is another Jesuv, but it functions here. We can see that by gathering the waters to one place, then ipso facto, the dry land shall appear. Okay, so this is very stylized. We have the speech report formula, Vayomer Elohim, and then we have the call for the collection of waters. This is this creation by fiat here. Let the part of the let there be's. Okay, so this is a call for the waters that are under the heavens. Okay, so you got to remember here that under the heavens. Now that means that everything, the waters above, are above the heavens. Okay. So remember, we got to remember Psalm 148 verse 4. Remember, you're not ignorant of that anymore. Where Psalm 148 says, let the sun, moon, and stars praise him, and let all the, and all the waters which are above the heavens. Okay, they are also to praise God. So the waters above the heavens are not a part of the waters of the Canopy Theory. Those people, because the firmament never goes anywhere. Now, some of the water God let out, yes, that's true, but they think that the firmament came down, when the canopy came down. Okay, now remember, your canopy theory water, that's all waters, in your understanding of things, these are waters that are under the heavens. Because once you go to the second chapter of Genesis, it said that there was a mist coming up from the land, from the earth itself. Okay, and that's the canopy theory that you're referring to. Okay, but that's waters that are all under the heavens. Okay, that's a part of that whole system, because they're gathered to one place, to the seas, but there's this mist that comes up out of the earth. It's a part of the waters that are all below here, and it created this big canopy theory, which of course that we believe, because we know that the earth was tropical, before the flood. So there was some very, very different, meteorological conditions upon the earth, before the flood. We get that from the fossil record. Okay, and so, but remember, this is the waters that are below the heavens. So they're being gathered to one place, and the purpose of this is so that the dry land might appear. Okay, and then there's this. The execution of this, and it was so. It's just a quick, statement here, stating that when God spoke, it occurred. Okay, and then we have the naming here. So we had the speech report formula. We had the divine call for the divine fiat for the waters to be gathered to one place under the heavens. We had its execution, the naming, and so he calls here the Yabasha Eretz. Okay, that's the dry land he calls earth, and the collection of waters he calls seas, or which we would refer to as oceans. Okay, all right, and then there's this evaluation, and God saw that it was good. All right, so let's just turn our attention real quick here to the Septuagint, and we're going to see that it has a little different reading here, and it says, and God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered to one gathering place. Okay, synagogue, is where we get the word synagogue from, but here it just means to one gathering place. And then it says, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. Now here's where we have a, and there's some, the Septuagint has an added statement here clarifying more about the execution. Okay, not just saying, and it was so, and he's saying it was so in this manner. Okay, and it says here, and the waters that were under the heavens were gathered to their gathering places, and the dry land appeared. So this here is an extra added statement here in the second half of verse 9 here. That is not in the MT, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's basically going to mean the same thing here. But I guess it does distinguish here to their gathering places. So the one place becomes it's a little more nuanced here, which it is basically true, and we do see that the waters, we understand that the waters are all one place, but they're we call it the Pacific and the Atlantic and the Mediterranean and so forth and so on. Okay. Anyhow, this is just for your added, for added information here, that the Septuagint, usually, every translation is an interpretation as well. Okay, you need to learn that. So we don't know if this was ever a part of the MT. But the LXX has it, so but as far as other Hebrew manuscripts, this really isn't a part of the Hebrew manuscript tradition, but it is in the Septuagint here. Okay, and then we'll keep reading here in verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the we'll say the Sustema here. We're not going to call this system, but the band of waters he called seas, and God saw that it was good. Okay, so that pretty much has the same thing, pretty much, except for this one, expansion here on the execution here. This is where the Septuagint expands here, is on the execution. He actually gives the description here in 9b, okay? And we saw that beginning right here with Kai Sune Kethe here, all right? Okay, so we're moving on. Okay, then here I wanted to draw our attention to something that Westermann said here, talking about the three works of separation here that come to culmination here on day 3. It is the third work of separation that puts all others in perspective. The three acts of separation are the source of the three basic categories in which creatures, and above all living beings, live out their existence: the category of time and the categories of space. The alternation of night and day is the basis of time. The creation of the firmament, the basis of the vertical dimension, and the separation of water and land, the basis of the horizontal dimension. So what happens here, we have the category of time here, and that was based here upon 1:4, and God divided between the light and between the darkness, and that was to create the 24-hour period here. By this source of light that he deemed to exist here, and there's nothing saying here that this light is, it's basically taken over on day 4 by the sun, moon, and stars that he creates. But anyhow, this source of light here, we don't know. Like I said, it's above my pay grade here. But anyhow, it was a division, and he divided between it, and this is the creation of time here. And then, we saw on day 2 here where he separated heaven from earth by means of the Rakia here, and it divided the waters that were above the heavenly waters, versus the earthly waters. And that we'll see in good time here, and once we come to verse 14, that there's a space of the heavens that's called the Rakia of the heavens, okay, the firmament of the heavens. That's where he places the sun, moon, and stars. And then there's this other place called upon the face of the Rakia of the heavens, upon the face of the firmament of the heavens. Is where birds fly. Okay, so we have lower atmosphere, upper atmosphere. We can call this the first heaven and the second heaven, and then where God dwells above the firmament would be the third heaven. Okay, and then so here on day 3, then we have further separation of the lower waters to one place. And so this is to let the dry land appear, and so now we have the separation of the water finally from the dry land, which is called earth here, and then the following days then are, the 4th day is going to correspond then to where he places the sun, moon, and stars. And then on the 5th day, then where God creates the birds and the fish, well, then that would correspond here then to the sky here, and that is below the Rakia and the waters. Okay, so we have waters, and we have that we have the first heavens upon the face of the Rakia of the heavens. That's where the birds fly. Okay, and then finally, then down here on day 3, then we have the creation then of or the call then for the waters to be separated, so that the dry land can appear, and then for day 6, then we have the call of forth the land animals and man, and that they have now a place to live. Okay, so these 3 works of separation here are important, and we can see that days 1, 2, and 3 have correspondence then to 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and then the 7th day, as we know, it's a day of rest. It's all by itself. Okay, and then coming into this slide here, what's important here is we're going to look here, Proverbs, if you have your Bibles, go ahead and open them there to chapter 8. And we saw this a little bit last time about Lady Wisdom here, and we looked at that in the same place here where we're going to be looking today, because remember the diastichs went, from looking, upward to the, to the firmament and to heaven, and then the second part was then looking down upon the earth, what's going on down there. And we saw this, when you come to verse 27 here, and it says, Bahakino Shemayim Sham Ani Behuko Hug Al Pene Tehom. So this just simply says, and we have these 2 diastichs here, okay? So remember, these are these rhythmical thoughts that are, that are, taken here in line A and then in line B. So the first rhythmical thought is when he established the heavens, I was there. So this is Lady Wisdom, okay? Line B says, when he inscribed a circle, okay, when he inscribed a circle upon the face of the waters. So this is important. And this is talking about the world ocean, okay, that he inscribed a circle upon the face of the waters. So it is a circle, and there's a reason why it's a circle, okay. And let's look at the next line here, okay, because these are, this is a quatrain here. When he made strong the Shechakim Mima'al, okay, when he made strong the skies above, and when he strengthened the springs of the deep, when he set his statute for the sea, and the waters would not transgress his mouth, when he inscribed the foundations of the earth. Okay, so this is telling us quite a bit more information here, vis-a-vis Lady Wisdom here. It's a personification. Okay, that's all it means. Okay, it's just Hokmah in Hebrew is a feminine noun, so it's just speaking this way. So the Hebrew Bible does this. It's not a big deal. But notice here that in verse 27, when he established the heavens, I was there. Okay. When he inscribed a circle upon the face of the deep. So we have this circle here, okay, upon the face of the deep, and it is a circle. When he made firm or hard the skies above, okay, so that then, so this is talking here then about the firmament above, okay. So we have this flat disk down here. We have this flat disk, okay, of the, and definitely the earth is pictured as flat. And then we remember here we have the firmament, and we saw that through Amos, then that it comes down and attaches itself to the waters of the sea. We saw that Kirkosei Shemayim, right? Haim Huzam, right? Bimeme Okianos, and it says, so that means that the clasps of the heaven, they took hold on the waters of the oceans. So here then, the clasps of heaven, so this is the curtain of heaven, so the curtains are joined so that they would clasp on then to the waters of the sea. They would take their clasp here. Okay, so that the tent may be one, the tabernacle may be one, so that the curtains would attach themselves to the waters of the sea. So that we saw this in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, and also, this, I had to think about it again. Josephus said this too. He said that, he made this crystalline firmament, and it was artistically, built to the contours of the earth. So both Josephus there and Rabbi Eliezer here in Pirkei, chapter 3, both speak of the firmament being fitted to the earth. Okay, that's very, very, very important here. Okay, so let's talk here about this second half, when he inscribed a circle upon the face of the deep. Okay, so you got to remember here. Let me go to the next slide you can see it depicted here. Okay, so I'm showing you here, this is the Gleasons Map, okay? You'll see that a lot of people use this here. And remember that I brought you here to this slide to show you why he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. So here's the circle, okay, basically, that God inscribed upon the circle of the earth, in the waters, in the deeps. That's what he said there in Proverbs, okay? So he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. So these are the oceans, the seas of the Bible. And the reason why this is circular, okay, is going to be because here, now I got to explain the map to you. This here is the North Pole here in the center. The ocean here is circular in manner, and this white part here is what we would call Antarctica. So Antarctica here on the Gleasons map has nothing, it's the South Pole on a globe, okay, but according to the way that God made it, the Antarctica would be the ends of the earth, literally, okay. But the reason why he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep is because right here there's something we call the Tropic of Cancer, okay? And then down here we have something called the equator, okay? And then something down here we call the Tropic of Capricorn, okay? And this goes all the way over here to Australia. All right. So the sun, as we know, travels between the tropics, okay? So right now the sun is on its march, and on June 21st, it will be right here at the tip of Baja, at La Paz, Baja, okay, down there by Cabo San Lucas. And that's as far north as the sun will go. Okay, it'll never ever go north of the Tropic of Cancer. This is Cancer here in the north. okay? And then we have Capricorn down here in the south, okay? All right, so the sun just goes back and forth. Down here on December 21st for the winter solstice, it comes here, and it hit there on December 21st. Now the sun's coming back this way. So the sun just goes up and back, up and back, up and back. And it makes this trek, it's a yearly trek. This is what it does. And so the sun's only in the tropics, and that's why it's very, very warm here in the tropics. Okay. And that's why coconuts only grow here in the tropics. It's because this is where the sun goes. And it never goes north of the Tropic of Cancer or south of the Tropic of Capricorn. So whatever the distance it is from the Tropic of Cancer here to the North Pole, okay, you take the same distance down here from Capricorn all the way down here, and the water, just like North Pole's always frozen up here, well, guess what's frozen out here? Because the sun is going around in a circular fashion. The sun is very, very small, and it just simply it's on a trek, a 24-hour trek every day. It goes around the earth. Okay, and that's what creates night and day. That's why Joshua said, sun stand still. Okay, and we'll see in Psalm 19. We've only worked at that. We'll work at that, the next time when we get to day 4, whenever that happens. Okay, because day 4, the sun is on a rotation. Okay, you just look at verse. It's either 6 or 5, whatever it is in your English Bible. Because the versification is one off between the Hebrew and the Greek text. We saw that last time. Lamnat Zeak Mitzmor David. Okay, so we had there a Mitzmor. That's a genre. David is authorship, and Lamnat Zeak is it's for the orchestration of the song to be sung. Okay, and then it just goes into that the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament declares the works of his hands. So we saw that last time, but anyhow, why he says here he inscribed a circle on the face of the deep. It's because the sun is what's going around in a circular rotational factor above the earth, and that creates the why the seas are round, because the sun is going around the earth. Okay, it's really simple. Okay, it's just the way God made the earth, and what happens with the sun. And that's why the waters out here eventually congeal and turn to ice, because the sun doesn't go there. Just like the North Pole, the sun doesn't go there. It's frozen. So I wanted to explain that to you, and that is important. Okay, so we have some more testimony here that we need to look at here in terms of day 3 here, with the creation here of the dry land. And you'll see here in Psalm 104:5 here, and everything comes in distichs here, and this just simply says, and he founded the earth upon its bases, that it might not be moved forever. Okay, you covered it with the deep as a garment, and the waters, they stood above the mountains. So we can see here that this is on day 1 and 2. Okay, here day 1 and 2, that the water stood above the mountains. It was all covered. Okay, and then here it says that and they fled. So this is the waters. Okay, they fled from your rebuke, and from your thunder they were startled. Okay, and then it says the mountains, they went up, and the valleys, they went down to this place you founded for them. and you set a border that they would not transgress, that they would not return to cover the earth. Okay, so this is here then talking here about day 3, then here, okay, the third day here. Well, then when God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered to one place. Well, the psalmist here says, and they fled from your rebuke. From the sound of your thunder, they were startled, okay? And then it says, the mountains, they went up, and the valleys, they went down to this place you founded for them. And then the waters did, that you set a border, they would not transgress, and they did not return to cover the earth. So, boom, so there you go. But notice here it says that you founded the earth upon its bases, okay? So there's several bases, okay? And that it may not be moved forever. So the earth isn't moving, it's not hurtling through space, we're not going around the Milky Way, the earth isn't going in, some orbit around the sun. It's just the opposite. The devil always contradicts God. The Bible says the sun is what's moving. What does the devil say? The earth is spinning and the earth is orbiting the sun. Okay. So the devil comes to, he's a liar. He's the father of lies. Okay, and we're going to see this next time. When we come to the sun, man, we're going to go through the Old Testament, and we're going to dig up every single place where the sun is what's moving. You're going to be blown away what you find out when we come to day 4, what the Bible has to say. We're following biblical cosmology. We're not following cunningly devised fables from NASA. Okay, we're following the biblical text. And when it says here, he founded the earth upon its bases, that it may not move forever. It's not moving. The earth is, when the earth moves, I was born in Hollywood. When there's an earthquake, yeah, you get scared, okay? But we don't feel the earth moving. We see the sun moving across the sky. Everybody sees the sun moving. Nobody sees the earth, I mean, if NASA was true, there would be there would be 24/7 video of some synchronous orbiting satellite that's out in their crazy place they call space, orbiting the Earth, and that it's in this satellite would be showing, we're coming right over, California, we're going to be going over the city of Hollywood, at this exact time, and then all the people that would be in Hollywood and all the Hollywood high school, they'd all go out on the field and take their picture. If you lived in Anaheim, then, everyone would come out, all the kids and all the schools would be out on the play field, and everyone would have their picture taken when the thing comes around. This would be going 24/7, and they would take the cameras and focus them, and you would see people smiling and waving, and NASA is just so full of lies, okay? None of this is happening. It's never happened, okay? We should pronounce this Nasha, to deceive, not NASA. Okay. But this is just, extra fodder for you that, this is the biblical text. He founded the earth upon its bases that it may not be moved. Okay. So whatever we're doing, this is telling us is that the earth isn't moving. It's stationary. Okay. Oh my gosh. It's stationary. The earth isn't moving. Okay. I mean, if the earth was moving, then you would go up in a helicopter, and the earth is spinning, they tell us, at 1,000 miles an hour, then the helicopter would just go straight up, and the earth is just coming around. Okay, underneath it, in an hour, then it's 1,000. He just moved 1,000 miles. Okay, just by hovering. Okay, Now, they tell us there's a Coriolis effect, that the sharpshooters are, they gotta make take into note the how fast the Earth is spinning, so that when they make a shot, that that they hit it in the right place and it doesn't miss, and they say it's because of the Coriolis effect. Well, if that was true, no plane would be able to land on a north to south landing strip, because the Earth is traveling at 800 to 1,000 miles, and most of the of North America is traveling at 800 miles an hour. Planes don't even fly 800 miles an hour. How are you going to land a plane on taking into account the Coriolis effect? So, you've been fed, and we've all been fed a crock of garbage. Just get over this stuff. Get into biblical cosmology. The Bible doesn't lie. And, when you wake up tomorrow, the Bible's going to say the sun stood still. And the moon in the in the valley of Ajalon. You're going to go to Joshua chapter 10 verse 12. It's going to say the same thing it does right now. When you wake up tomorrow, it's going to say the same thing. It's saying the sun stood still. Okay, we are going to then blow this thing so wide open. It's disgusting how the devil's lied to the church, and the church has taken every single bit of this, and they're fighting people like us who actually just believe in the Bible's own cosmology. Okay, this says it's not moving. It contradicts NASA, so that's just it contradicts Satan. Okay, and these people are all Freemasons. They just look into it, folks. Just take the Bible and believe it. Okay, now here we're going to come to a very important text here. And remember, we're just parading through the Old Testament wherever it talks about, the third day, about when God created, the earth, and he set bounds for the ocean and the seas and all this. Well, it pops up in a lot of places. We saw, back in the previous slide, with Lady Wisdom there, speaking in the book of Proverbs chapter 8. Now we've got God. Now God finally breaks his silence here with Job, and then he speaks to him out of the whirlwind. Okay, so it says here in Job 38, and Yahweh answered Job from the whirlwind, and he said. Now what his speech is all in poetry. Okay. And you can see here that a lot of this is disticks here, and I broke up line A from line B, and it's all here in versets, whatever. It's this it's this lineation of metrical thoughts, discrete lineated metrical thoughts that are given, like line A and then line B here, okay, and it's broken by this caesura, like a stop here, and so his thoughts here then are broken down, and this is what we call Hebrew poetry, okay, and it starts here in verse 2, and it says, "Who is this who causes Eitzah, counsel, to be darkened, with words without knowledge? Gird up now your loins as a man. I will ask of you, and you make known to me." Okay. Where were you when I founded the earth? Declare if you know with understanding. Who made its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched out a line upon it? Okay, upon and who sunk its bases upon it? Upon what was its bases sunk? Excuse me. And who casted the cornerstone? When the stars of the morning sang together, when all, and all the sons of God shouted. Okay. And then it says, and he shut up the sea, right, with doors. When it burst forth, it came out from the womb, so to speak. Okay. When I put a cloud for its covering, and thick darkness for its swaddling band here. We'll just stop right here at verse 8. But we'll look here. There's a lot going on here. He's talking about, this is God speaking. So if you want to dare say that, God's own words aren't theological, then, who is this who darkens counsel? Oh, okay, with words without knowledge. I wouldn't dare say anything. If God spoke here, I don't think he was speaking here in riddles to Job at this point. God here is definitely showing up here in a whirlwind, in a tornado. So if somebody, comes to you in a tornado, and then he basically says, who is this who darkens counsel with words without knowledge? Gird up now as a man your loins. You better, you're speaking to God, okay? Because only God can, come in a whirlwind. We already saw the whirlwind last time with Ezekiel. We saw the firmament. So there's a lot of stuff that comes out of whirlwinds in the Old Testament. And we've got a firmament in Ezekiel 1 verse 22. And what do we got here? We got God building the flat earth. Okay? Why do we say that? Well, what does he say here? Okay, who made its measurements? Surely you know. Who stretched out a line upon it? Okay, upon what were its bases sunk? Who casted the cornerstone? Okay, its cornerstone. Okay, well, you can't cast a cornerstone on a spherical earth. Okay, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is talking about a flat earth. Okay, so, this is exactly what it conjures up in everybody's mind, to the original readers, to Job. All of this made sense. They understood it. Just like you stretch out a line and you're going to sink something on a base and you're going to cast a cornerstone. That's all done on something flat, a flat surface. Okay. I'm sorry, folks. You're not, the world of the Old Testament is geocentric. It's not, you got to get into biblical cosmology. You got to NASA's lying through their teeth. We saw that last time. Okay. And we'll continue on here, and we'll go down here to verse 10. And I broke upon it, my statute. Okay, that just means he set firm his statute. Okay, and I set bars, and doors. And I said, you shall go unto here and not further. And and your proud waves will be set here. Okay, now look at verse 12. He's speaking to Job. Have you commanded the morning from your days? Have you made known to the dawn its place, to take hold on the edges of the earth, and that the wicked are shaken out from it? And then look at verse 14. It transforms itself as clay to the seal. And if we follow the ESV here, and it says, and its features stand out like a garment. Okay. So here, this is talking about the earth, verse 4. that it transforms itself as clay to the seal, and its features stand out like a garment. So you know, this is done upon. Let's just look at the next slide. We'll see through picture form. Okay, so you want to know, this is a cylinder seal right here, okay? This is taken from the Ur 3 dynasty, okay? This actually, remember, Abraham was born in, 2166. This comes from about 2100. This is Ur-Nammu. So this is the time, this is, you know, this is a representation of Nammu, okay, King Nammu, okay, from the city where that Abraham came from, okay, basically at the same time, okay, and see the moon here. Remember, they worship the moon here at Ur. It's a place of moon worship. There are a bunch of moonies there, and you can see here that the cylinder seal was just rolled over clay, okay. It was rolled over clay in a fashion like this. Okay, you just roll it over it, and then it makes an impression upon the seal. So when it says the earth, it transforms itself like clay to the seal. So do you understand? The earth is flat, just like this clay seal. It's flat. Why? Because it's talking about the earth. It's being transformed, and it says its features stand out like a garment. So you can even see here on the clothing of these three people that approached the King Nammu, you can see the you know, the features of their clothing standing out like a garment. Okay, this is a cylinder seal. Okay, and you know, folks, I mean, you know, this, oh my gosh, you know, the more you get into this, the deeper it gets, the more, you know, the Bible becomes alive to you, and you can see exactly the thoughts that were in their mind, and that they thought of this cylinder seal like the earth, that it's got this shape, that God, you know, he sunk the valleys and he raised up the mountains, and you know, and its features stand out like a garment. Okay, I mean, open your eyes, and this doesn't, you know, this isn't, you know, we don't live on a ball earth, you know. You know, God's speaking here. This is God speaking these words, okay? And he meant what he said. He wasn't speaking to them lies. Okay, what he meant to them, he would say the same thing today. Okay, he wouldn't tell you anything different than Job. He said, well, he's going to tell you the same thing. Where were you? Okay, basically when I rolled out the earth, you know, and it transforms itself like clay to the seal. Okay, this is what's going on here. You know, wake up and smell the coffee. Okay, in a little more graphic way, here we can see here that, you know, when God, you know, stamped out, when he rakad out, you know, that's rakah, when he stamped out the earth, right? And here's the folds of a garment, you know, that resemble this up here. Okay? You know, even Psalm 24 says the earth and its fullness belongs to Yahweh, the world and the inhabitants in it. For he founded it upon the waters, or upon the seas, and he established it upon the rivers. Okay? And so, you know, the water, you know, the earth just stands up out of the water. We got water, and we got the earth standing up, and there's valleys in it. And I mean, the earth is nothing but mountains, hills, and valleys, but it stands in and out of water. Okay, and this is exactly what it says here. The earth in its fullness belongs to Yahweh. Line A. What's line B say? the world and the inhabitants in it. Okay, so this is looking at the human population. This is looking at, the animal population up here in line A. And then there's a basis for this, for he founded it upon the seas, line A, and he established it upon the rivers, line B. So this I'm telling you guys, once you start reading poetry, you can never you never read the Bible the same again. You got line A and line B, and it's all telling a big story, and the cash is in line B, typically. Okay, I have some things here. I don't know if I'm going to get into all of this up here, but you can look at this. My concern here is on verse 5, which shows us the tripartite structure of the universe as we know it, and we'll pick up some of this here from the language as it's used here in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 5. For this they are willingly ignorant that the heavens were of old, and the earth, will say, standing out of water and through water by the word of God. Okay, since formerly the world was destroyed by water having been deluged, but now the heavens and the earth, by that same word, are stored up, being kept by fire for the day of judgment and destruction of ungodly men. But what I want you to understand here is that the term earth, okay, is completely different than we'll say the seas, okay, or the oceans, okay. All right, there's a very big distinction here, okay. So the tripartite structure of the universe is heaven, earth, and the seas. And we'll see this in a lot of different prayers. The Lord God who made the heavens and the earth and the seas. And you can see this in Acts, chapter 4, when they prayed, when the house was shooken. The Lord who created the heavens, the earth, and the seas. All over the book of Revelation, the one who created the heavens, the earth, and the seas. You'll even see it sometimes, the heavens and the dry land and the seas, okay? But remember, he called the dry land earth. But anyhow, but what I'm trying to say here is that the seas or the oceans, they are completely different than the earth. Now look again at verse 5. For this they willingly were ignorant of, or they willingly escaped the notice of them, that the heavens were of old, okay, and the earth standing out of water and through water by the word of God. So that the earth does not consist of the oceans. The earth here is conceived of only as dry land. The seas are something completely different. That's why the prayers, you'll see this tripartite structure of the universe, heaven, earth, and seas. And remember, in the new heavens and the new earth, there's what? There is no longer any sea. Okay? But it would have been thought of because it's the tripartite structure that God has made. So the universe consists of heaven, the earth, and the seas. That's it. Okay. That's the structure of the universe according to the biblical text, both Old and New Testament. And this is by the Apostle Peter here. And the Apostle Peter is distinguishing the seas as not a part of the earth. The earth is something different. It's the dry land. and it's just as something as different as the heavens are. Okay, and so once you see this, you can't unsee it anymore. And you'll see that this is in all the theology books. I'm not making this up. This is all very common knowledge to people who actually read the text, read these original languages, and understand biblical theology. I'm just letting you know here that the earth here, when he speaks of the earth here in verse 5, it stands. It stands out of water and through water by the word of God. It's completely different than the seas. And I just want you need to know that there's this distinction being made. Okay, so continuing on here, we're going to be looking here at 11 through 13 here. And so I'll just translate the MT down here. By Omer Elohim. So, and God said, let the earth sprout grass, and plants making seed, and fruit trees making fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in it upon the earth, and it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and plants yielding seed according to its kind, and trees making fruit whose seed was in it according to its kind. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening and there was morning, the third day. So here, what we have here is the beginning here of basically, the creation here of plants. And remember, once you get down, I think that verse 30 or 31, you'll see that everything was vegan. Everything, all animals and any type of living organism, everything ate green plants. Okay, and you can see here that that there was grass sprouting, there were plants that were yielding seeds. There were fruit trees with their fruit in them according to its own kind. Okay. And so now this is a pretty scientific statement that each, in the realm of botany, okay, all plants and we'll find out later on, land animals, everything was reproduced according to its own kind. And this is very significant. We'll see in the next slide about DNA here. But everything's got its own DNA, and everything creates itself after its own kind here, according to how God established it. So we have a speech report formula, and God said, and then we have this, creation by fiat. Let the earth bring forth, I guess some type of vegetation and plant life and fruit trees. Okay, and so we have this. And these are all pretty generic terms here: grass and vegetation, or just plants. Here you can put in plants for vegetation. Here it's interchangeable. This could be plants as well. Probably better translation would be plants. And we have its execution, and it was so, and we have the report of it, and the earth brought forth, grass and plants yielding seed according to its kind, and trees making fruit whose seed was in it according to its kind. God saw it was good, and there was evening, morning, and the third day. So now the earth now then is covered here with different plant life and fruit trees, and everything here that is going to be useful for food. Okay, and remember that originally this is a vegan earth. So the vegans, man, they would love God's original creation here. Okay, and because nothing here, there was nothing, there were no meat eaters. Okay, everything was, was just eating the green plants and the fruit here that God had made, and life was wunderbar. Okay, now coming here then to this slide, we're looking here basically at DNA, because we're looking here that, God said that let these plants, everything reproduce according to its own kind. And we'll see this being stated for the land animals and the birds and whatever living organism that God creates, everything's reproducing after its own kind. Okay, and this takes place here, deoxyribonucleic acid here. We've got these 4 base pairs of amino acids here. We got adenine yoked with thymine and guanine yoked with cytosine, and these 4 base pairs, they're sequenced on the double helix here, okay, of this DNA strand, okay, and so the sequencing of the adenine and thymine, and then how many ever sequences are supposed to be, and then it's crossed within a couple of cytosine and guanines, and it just goes back and forth. And this, all these different, revolutions that are made here on this double helix, it takes like 3 billion lines of sequences to create a human being that make up the genome for the human species. And for like a potato, it's 800,000, somewhere around there, of sequences on the DNA. So whatever the living organism is, it's going to have DNA, and it's going to have this, these adenine and thymine, guanine and cytosine, and it's sequenced on this double helix. And we found, the scientists, the Brits, Crick, and the other guy, I forgot his name there, but they were the ones who discovered this. I think back in the either late 60s or early 70s, they were the ones who discovered DNA, and it opened up this whole revolution within microbiology. And now we see how complex the Darwin's simple cell. It's not so simple, okay, and so his whole thing fell apart because his simple cell theory, is no longer simple. It's very, very, very complex. And so you gotta, this is where, I had this debate once with this, of all, now that I look back upon it, it was a divine setup that I had at Cambridge University. I was staying in, the Wolfson College at the time, and I was just writing my dissertation, and I was staying at the Tyndale House, working there, and I met this astrophysicist, and I asked him, I saw him at the breakfast table. I said, well, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I'm just writing a book. I said, well, what do what's your field? He goes, I'm an astrophysicist. And I said, great, and he goes, well, what are you doing here? I said, I'm just, writing up a proposal for my PhD, and I'm a theologian. And he started laughing. And I go, oh, so you think God is, you can mock him. And I said, are you ready? You want to get into it? He goes, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So I brought this up. I brought up deoxyribonucleic acid, and I brought up the adenine and thymine, guanine and cytosine, the double helix, and I told him that every living being, every living organism has this stuff. And so I asked him a simple question. I said, what came first? These amino acids here, or the information encoded on it? What was first? And he goes, well, who's to say that your God's the right God? I go, well, you lost the argument, dude. You were mocking me for being a theist. I just said, it's very simple. And I told him, I said, your problem, you don't have a mental, an intellectual problem with God. I said, you have a moral problem with God. I said, you don't have any type of intellectual problem with God. I said, it's totally moral. And I said, you're just living here sleeping with your girlfriend. I go, you know what? You need to repent and get your life turned around. He didn't like that too much, but I laid it down on him. But anyhow, that's what he was doing there, and well, you know what? That's what I was doing there. I was preaching the gospel at Cambridge University, right where Darwin was at. Okay, this has been another session of Biblical Theology, Exegesis, and Hermeneutics, where meaning is always context-driven. Please like, share, subscribe, comments. Thank you for all the new, people that have joined here in the last couple of weeks. Welcome aboard, and I'm praying for you, and I'm asking, for wisdom and for understanding in how to go forward from here, and for how I am to do my best at explaining the Bible as I understand it. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.